So in this video we're looking at route planning in preparation for your expedition. Within the video we're going to cover things you need to consider, looking at some rules based around the timings that you'll be travelling and how fast you can go, and then looking at filling in a route card and what's that all about. So what do we need to take into consideration as part of our planning? Start off with, look at the fitness of the group, not just the individuals, because as a team you'll be travelling together. Take into consideration carrying a heavy load if you're doing a walking expedition. It can slow the group down if you're not used to that kind of weight that you're carrying. Look at the terrain that you're going over. If it's over the mountains, that's going to be big considerations because of the time going up. Or if you're doing a cycling expedition or a canoeing expedition, that all comes into consideration to do with the distances you're covering. Look at the navigation. Is it difficult navigation? Is it in the mountains where you're having to really go from point to point? Or is it long legs where you can put the map away for a short length of time and not have to worry too much? Even urban navigation can be very difficult with having to go from turn to turn down lots of footpaths, and that can slow you down considerably. Look at the interest. Think about the expedition aim. On your journey, if you go slightly out of your way, will there be big rewards for seeing something different, something exciting, a fantastic view, the top of the hill? Look at that side of things. Look at the aim of your expedition. How long will you need to do for that, and build that into your planning? And think of the challenge that you're trying to do. Are you trying to just go through as low as the smallest amount of effort as possible, or are you going to challenge yourself so when you get to the end of the expedition you can feel incredibly proud of what you've achieved? They all need to be taken into consideration. So when we look at the timings, according to the DFE, for bronze it's 6 hours with a minimum of 3 hours journeying for the day, which 3 hours doesn't seem very long at all. I'd like to think that you're going to do much more than that. For silver it's only 3.5 hours journey, and gold it's 4 hours journey. Again, when you think of what you can cover in a whole day, the distances travelled, but it's up to you and your expedition team. If we look at some of the rules based around travelling, a guy called Naismith came up with his rule, which there's loads of information on the internet about it, really good table here so you can work out your timings. And his basic rule says 15 minutes walking, you'll cover 1 kilometre on normal ground, so 4k an hour. If you're starting to go up hills, for every 100 metres that you go up, you need to add another 10 minutes. So on a Northern Survey map, every contour that you'll cross, you're going up, you will add 1 minute. So when you're looking at your route, you can count the contours and add that to your times. And it's pretty reasonable to expect to do those kind of speeds, depending on the terrain, as I said. So that's Naismith's rules. So next thing we're going to look at is the route cards. And the award have got a really good form that you can fill in online. Look at their website and type in route cards and it will take you to this. And there's one for walking, there's one for cycling, and there's one for canoeing. They vary slightly. Why do I want to fill in a route card? If I was going walking myself, I don't think I would do one, but there's a reason for it within the award. The first thing is, it gets you really detailed looking at the map and planning where you're going. The information that you have to fill in requires that you look at the map rather than just go, oh, we're going to walk from A to B. Once you've filled it in properly, it gets sent off to the assessor prior to your expedition, and it's their first opportunity to look at the training that you've had. And as an assessor, I can look at a route card and almost see whether the group are going to pass really well, or they're going to need a lot of help, or maybe they're going to get deferred and have to do some more training. So that's a really good thing. If you look at it and there's lots and lots of detail there, the assessor's going to go, yeah, we've got a really good team here. So the information that we've got, lots of information at the top about your team and when you're doing that expedition and contact information. It's got where you're going to start with a 6-figure grid reference and a place name. Include that, check your grid reference is right. Where you're walking to, and again, the grid reference and the name. It's got the distance that you're covering, the height that you've climbed, the time allowed for it. So you're actually working it through. You're having to use Naismiths to calculate those times. How long is it going to take you to do the leg? And this is bit here that I'm interested in, is the brief details of the route that you're following. I would like to see on a route card that the legs have got real detail in here. They don't have to be a massive leg. Even if you're doing a canoeing expedition and you're paddling down the River Thames, there's details that you can put in there that you can use as you're navigating. You know, how many bridges are you going to pass under? Round how many corners? If you're doing a walking expedition, are you going to go under certain things, over bridges? Are you going to be walking through wood clearings? Look at the map and almost tell me a story in the details written over here. More information, that's the better. You should be able to use your route card to actually to navigate your map out. The other section here is called escape routes, and that's looking, if something went wrong on that leg, where would you go to meet people? More important in the mountains and on a river expedition where you're not going to be meeting people for a long time, but some thought goes into that. Part of your preparation for this is using maps. If you can use the Ordnance Survey 1 to 25,000, loads and loads of detail on there, but it requires having one to start off with. The other thing you can do is go onto the internet and an organisation called Hug Maps. So just Google Hug Maps, and that takes you to Ordnance Survey maps for free, and it calculates distance and gives you grid reference, which is really good. The only difference is it's only at 1 to 50,000, so it doesn't have the detail. But for what you're doing in planning, it's a really good tool. So the purpose of route planning is to get you to look at the maps, to get you to think about your expedition, to get the most out of the journeying. From the Duke of Edinburgh Awards point of view, it covers some of the 20 conditions that are laid down by the expedition. And I'll do another video on what the assessor is looking for on that. But if you Google again under the Duke of Edinburgh's website, the 20 conditions, you can see that we're covering number 1, which is plan and organise, and we're covering number 11, which is showing safety and training. So very, very important. The more time you spend on doing the route cards, the better in the assessment side of things, but it's all about that end journey. So I look forward to seeing you on that journey.